Brandon had wrestled when he was younger. He wrestled, but kind of didn't like it too much because, of course, you get pinned or you get beat. He didn't like getting beat. He likes winning. But anyway, so he didn't wrestle a lot. He kind of quit wrestling when he was fifth grade or something like that. I don't know. He wrestled for a couple of years back then in the tournaments, the little elementary camp, wrestling camp tournaments. Well, fast forward, he goes to Fremont. He joins their football team, their basketball team. They're undefeated. They do really well out there. Their football team. Then he does baseball and track and so forth, whatever. So anyway, he we get a new coach named Graciano, and Graciano cut a bunch of really good, strong, tough players. All he wanted was straight A students that did everything exactly what he said. Anyway, he was real controlling. But anyway, so it was kind of funny because Brandon went over and talked with Coach Story. He says, "Hey, I'm kind of thinking about wrestling this year." Anyway, and Coach Story says, "Man, we'll have you anytime." He's always trying to get Brandon to wrestle. Well, anyway, Brandon goes to try out for the junior basketball team in his junior year, for the JV basketball team, and he gets cut. So he walks across the hall, goes into the wrestling room where Coach Story was, and he says, "Hey, Story, what time do you want me at practice tomorrow?" And Coach Story's like, "What? What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah." Graciano cut me. He goes, "Graciano cut you from the basketball team?" He goes, "Yeah, Graciano cut me from the basketball team." He said, "Bullshit." He says, well, what time do you want me to practice tomorrow?" So Brandon goes to practice the next day. He calls me that day when he gets cut. He goes, "Dad, we need to go down and get me some wrestling shoes." I'm like, and I remember I was at. I'm right at the very entrance of the just inside the roofing yard at the very entrance, working on a vehicle, doing some cleaning on a vehicle and organizing. He's like, "Dad, you need to come." It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. "Dad, we need to go down and get me some wrestling shoes." I'm like, "What? Wrestling shoes?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "What are you doing out of practice?" So he's practiced so early. He goes, "Well, they cut me." I go, "Graciano cut you?" "Yeah." He goes, "And he cut Dave Hill, and he cut several guys that were really good." Anyway, he goes, "Yeah, they cut me." I go, "No way. Are you serious?" "Yes. Let's get out of here, man." So I like, "Okay, I'll be right down. We'll go get you some wrestling shoes." Anyway, I went down and picked up Brandon. We went out and we got him. We went and bought him some wrestling shoes. That was one of the happiest days of my life to stop playing the politically fouled up game of basketball. It just drives me nuts. One or two kids are the stars and everybody else caters to them, and it's subjective by the coach. But whatever. Anyway, so he gets to wrestle now. Now he starts wrestling, and I said, he goes to wrestling practice, and I'm thinking, I'm so excited that he's going to wrestle. Been playing football. Wrestling will make him tough. But anyway, he goes in and he's just getting slaughtered by the different guys. He's getting beat. He's getting beat all the time, whooped on at practice. But finally, over time, we start saying, "Hey, you can maybe you could take region, or maybe you could do this, or maybe you could do that." And we started going, "Hey, let's think through this. If you'll do this, this, and this, and develop your skills." He was very athletic, very, very coordinated, very athletic, but he didn't know how to wrestle very well. He had wrestled when he was a kid, but that was it. So anyway, Brian Murdoch worked with him a lot. Coach Story worked with him. Lots of kids, lots of people worked with him. But anyway, he really got good, and he got better and better and better and better. And he figured it out really quickly. This is his junior year. He did really, really well, and he just was working on the ground. He was working on all kinds of stuff. He went to one tournament and wrestled his first tournament in Evanston. I think I've got a story coming up about this in a minute. But anyway, he went up there and wrestled seven matches or something like that in 2 days, and he was just totally beat and hammered. But anyway, so he wrestles like crazy. He does well. He does well in region. He qualifies for state. He goes to state. And I says, if you take fifth or above in state, I'll give you the blue Ford. Just give him some incentive because he always wanted the blue Ford. Anyway, now he has it. It's an old beat up truck, but he has it, now down there. But he never did earn it because he lost in state and he took sixth in state his junior year. But he just cried and wept after that because it was such an emotional drain. I remember him coming home. I think this was his junior year. I think he had been fighting all season, wrestling all season, and he came home and he went to play basketball with one of his high school group of kids, and they started scuffling in between each other. And he just sat on the bench while the bench is empty, and they started to kind of fight amongst themselves a little bit. And he's like, "Dude, I've had so much of wrestling. I've fought so much this year. I ain't gonna go fight. I'm tired. Anyway, Brandon took sixth in state his first wrestling season, his first full wrestling season. He was very athletic, very talented. His junior year, his senior year, he didn't qualify. I don't know if he went to state or I can't remember exactly what happened. He may have, but anyway, he didn't place in state that year, but he did. He had a good season. It wasn't as good as he'd liked. I don't think he said he wasn't as healthy that year. But anyway, you know, uh, it was really good. Now he just loves wrestling and he thinks that's the best sport, which in my opinion it is. But even a better sport than wrestling is music, and swimming is by far the safest sport. I love swimming, so that's the safest non-impact sport. But anyway, Brandon took sixth in wrestling his junior year. First year of wrestling, talented as heck, placed sixth. Awesome.